Hello students, I am Shish Chauhan and I welcome you in my online teaching classes. This is The Merchant of Venice, written by William Shakespeare, and this is video 2, Act 1, Scene 1 for the students of BA 3rd year, semester 2. Let's recall. In the previous video, you came to know that Gratiano was telling Antonio that he would like to be a fool who keeps laughing all the time, but he would not like to be silent. After some time, Lorenzo and Gratiano also leave. Now Antonio and Bassanio are left behind. Bassanio also utters a few beautiful lines about Gratiano when the latter has left the place. His reasons are as 2 grains of wheat hid in 2 bushels. A bushel is a unit of measurement of chaff. You shall seek all day ere you find them, and when you have them, they are not worth the search. Let me paraphrase this. Bassanio tells Antonio that there's a little meaning in what Gratiano says. He is a talkative person. You will have to labor hard in making a point from what he says. Here we find an example from agriculture. A farmer has to separate grains from the chaff. Suppose there is a big heap of chaff and the farmer just gets a few grains of wheat from the heap. Just imagine the condition of that farmer. He would feel disappointed because he had to put in hard labor for that work, but his labor went down the drain. Bassanio wants to say the same thing. He wants to say that no one can find much meaning in what Gratiano says. Now Antonio asks Bassanio to tell him about the lady he has promised to meet. Antonio says, "Well, tell me now, what lady is the same to whom you swore a secret pilgrimage that you today promised to tell me of?" Now Antonio asks Bassanio to tell him about the lady he has promised to meet, but before telling anyone anything about the lady, Bassanio proceeds to make some background to take another loan from Antonio. And here the use of the word pilgrimage shows that Bassanio would make a journey to meet the lady with full devotion and intensify of his sacred emotion. This shows his deep feelings for that lady, Portia. So pilgrimage is used when the people who have great devotion for something, like the people who travel to some religious place, some holy place, that place is called pilgrimage. And pilgrims are the travelers who travel towards that place, that holy place, with full devotion. It's not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled mine estate by something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. Bassanio says that it's well known to Antonio as to how much he has spent money so far to raise his standard of living. He spent beyond his means just to show himself a rich person. His means are limited and his worry is to clear all of his debts. Nor do I now make moan to be abridged from such a noble rage, but my chief care is to come fairly off from the great debts. This line wrongly has been repeated. He also says that he has not come to him to get his loan written off, but his main purpose is to make the best use of his loan to clear all the debts. He also admits that he has been careless while spending money. Antonio encourages Bassanio to say what he wants, but the latter does not come to be come to the point and adds more words. So these are some in these lines I have summarized a few lines, those were following that. Let's go ahead. In my school days, these are very famous lines uttered by Bassanio. When I had lost one shaft, I shot his fellow of the self same flight, the self same way, with more advised watch, to find the other fourth, and by adventuring both, I oft found both. I urge this childhood proof, because what follows is pure innocence. I owe you much, and like a wilful youth, that which I owe is lost. Let me explain these lines. Bassanio quotes an example of his childhood days. In those days, if he lost a shaft, an arrow, he would throw another arrow with the same force in the same direction. It would enable him to find out the lost arrow or shaft. He gives this example to justify that he would surely get back the lost money by utilizing another loan if Antonio agrees to pay him. But if you please to shoot another arrow that self way, which you did shoot the first, I do not doubt, as I will watch the aim, or to find both, or bring your latter hazard back again, and thankfully rest that or the first. He also says that he owes much to Antonio in terms of money and love. He is indebted to him for that. He also says that he is going to disclose some plans that would surely clear all of his debts. Antonio again tells him to come to the point. Then he explains that there is a rich lady and she is very beautiful. Okay, let me read the lines also. Text. In Belmont is a lady richly left, and she is fair and fairer than that world of wondrous virtues. Sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless messages. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued. Now Antonio asks Bassanio to come to the point, and he wanted to know the name of that fair lady. Then he explains that there is a rich and very beautiful lady in Belmont. She also possesses wonderful virtues. He says that sometimes she received silent message from her eyes. Her name is Portia. To Cato's daughter, Brutus's Portia, nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth, for the four winds blow in from every coast renowned suitors, and her sunny locks hang on her temples like golden fleece. She was the daughter of, Bassanio mentions Cato's daughter, and Brutus Portia. Let me explain these things also. She was the daughter of Marcus Porcius Cato Uticensis and his first wife Attilia. She was the daughter from these two persons, Attilia and Cato. She is best known for being the second wife of Marcus Junius Brutus and the most famous of Julius Caesar's assassins, and for her suicide reputedly by swallowing hot coals. She is more beautiful and wealthier even than Cato's daughter and Brutus's wife Portia. Her worth and wealth is famous all over the world. Famous suitors from all over the world come to marry her. The hair falling on her temples means the sides of the forehead, look like a golden fleece, and fleece is the thick covering of wool on a sheep. And let me explain these things also, which makes her seat of Belmont Colco Strand, and many Jasons come in quest of her. Let me refer to these references. Let me tell you about this. Colchos Strand refers to the beach or beach or shore of Kolkis, an ancient country in Asia. Bassanio refers to Portia's suitors as a bunch of Jasons in quest of the golden fleece. In Greek mythology, Jason and the Argonauts went after the golden fleece of a winged ram, which landed Jason the throne of Lolcus. So these were mythological references given here. After that, Bassanio tells Antonio that if he had the means equal to Portia's suitors, he would surely win her hand. His mind predicts that he would be fortunate enough to marry that wealthy princess. O my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them, I have a mind presages me such thrift that I should questionless be fortunate. So, in the end of this scene, Bassanio tells Antonio that if he had the means equal to Portia's suitors, he would surely win her hand. His mind predicts that he would be fortunate enough to marry that wealthy princess. Thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea, neither have I money nor commodity to raise a present sum. Therefore, go forth, try what my credit can in Venice do, that shall be racked even to the uttermost, to furnish thee to Belmont, to fair Portia. Go presently inquire, and so will, where money is, and I no question make to have it of my trust or for my sake. Act 1, Scene 1 ends here. Let me explain these lines. Antonio shows his inability to give him such a large sum of money just because his huge sum of money was at stake at sea, but he promises him to provide him his surety for the loan if he gets it from anyone in Venice. Here, this scene, Act 1, Scene 1 ends up here. I shall come with second scene. Until then, have a nice day.